8:22, the early edition. Time for an edition of the Waterboys. Welcoming to the radio station people who can talk football, in specific, talk Okanagan Sun football. Right now, going to stop down with Tony Lindsay. He's the offensive coordinator for the Okanagan Sun. He's also in charge of the quarterbacks and the kickers. By day, he is the assistant superintendent at Kelowna Springs Golf Course. But these days, at night, he's pouring over depth charge, and he's planning for training sessions. Tony Lindsay, good morning to you.
Good morning, Phil. How you doing?
Well, I'm fine. Also, you've spent time wearing an Okanagan Sun uniform, so pride comes to play here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a long-time tradition, and it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. So yeah, lots of pride.
Now, you're spending time as offensive coordinator, but you're also spending time in charge of quarterbacks. And
actually, no. I was going to be, but we got a new guy on board, Nathan Nagy, so we got a little bit of the Nagy blood back in the fold. And,
get out.
He used to be the offensive coordinator at Boucherie, and he stepped down, and now he's with us, and it's a great addition. You know, he really knows his stuff, and he and I are learning together, so yeah, it's a good fit.
Lawrence Nagy's kid is now working as an assistant coach?
Lawrence Nagy's nephew.
Nephew?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, you know what? I can hardly keep those Nagys straight. There's so many of them around.
There is. They're everywhere.
Listen, are you then, because I was planning to ask you about how far afield you're reaching to bring in some young quarterback talent. I mean, we know that Bobby Davis is going to be the guy, and Jeremy Joseph is kind of dogging his heels, but I was looking at some of the releases on the website, and I'm looking at Medicine Hat, Crescent Heights. I'm looking at Saskatoon, Clavette, as somebody named Dubinsky and Kamenowski.
Yeah, both those kids are guys that I had recruited via Howie Zarin, our GM, and getting to know those kids before they actually got here. You know, Crescent Heights has kind of been an area that we have recruited kids in before. So naturally, you know, we have a good rapport. So, you know, we bring the kid in. Daniel's a great young kid. You know, I mean, he's got some pretty good talent right now. He's a little raw, a little green for his age, but we're going to get him coached up. And Austin is a kid from Clavette, Saskatchewan, who played six-man football. But it's not that big of a jump for him. He had been to some Saskatoon Hilltop camps and probably some U of S camps. He's pretty good. You know, both these guys they're sponges. They're eager to learn, and they like the game. They're all both talented. But Clavette is kind of an area that, you know, I'm not even sure we've ever had anyone from there before. So yeah, a little bit far-reaching there.
So when you say that you scouted these guys and that you're effectively responsible, I mean, I just listen, Austin Kamenowski. It sounds like a hockey player, not a football player. But as they come in here and you've scouted them, what got you in there? How do you decide, you know what, I'm going to go out and take a look at Saskatoon Clavette? Like, you just point your finger at the map and say, I'm going to go?
You know what? It would appear like that, but I think it's a little more technical than that. I think we got onto this kid. I think he had emailed us, and he had a video on YouTube, and it was pretty good. You know, he looked really good, even though sure it was six-man football, but still, I mean, you got to deliver the ball downfield on target on time, and he likes to run. You know, he's pretty good. He's a neat little kid. I'm glad we got him. There's actually another kid that we had recognized off of that his YouTube video that we wanted to get out here. We just couldn't make the switch. Didn't want to come out. You know, some young kids in the little towns, they get kind of locked in. But I'm glad Austin's with us. He's a great kid.
You know, it's funny when I listen to you talk about YouTube. Usually YouTube is seen as the place that musical talent is being discovered these days.
Yeah.
But you never think of young athletes as using YouTube to show their stuff, if you will.
You'd be surprised. I mean, at all levels of football in the U.S. and even like rugby players and soccer players in Europe and parts unknown. There's YouTube videos these guys try to send in to all sorts of sports teams. It's a big deal.
Couple of moments at 8:27 in the morning here at the early edition, AM 1150, spending time with the offensive coordinator for the Okanagan Sun, Tony Lindsay, just talking about how he reaches out and where they find young talent and recruit it and get it to come to town. Now, my understanding is that Dubinsky and Kamenowski are good enough that last year's understudies haven't even been invited to come back.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, I'd rather say it a little more delicately. Both Drew Jacobson and Matt Barnes were great young kids, and I mean, we kind of looked at them and said, you know, in your second year, we'd like to give you a chance to play, but that's just not going to be here with us. So we're going to, you know, do whatever we can to get you on a roster somewhere else and give you some playing time. And naturally, I mean, we have to fill roster spots. So I wouldn't say that these two guys coming in were so much better that we just decided to release these guys. We wanted to give those other two a chance and bring these two new kids in and really develop them and work with them.
Okay. We're into training camp. You and Jason Casey, head coach, defensive coordinators, lots of long nights at this moment in time. But any surprises as we get set? I mean, the season opens on the 6th of August, I think it is. But any surprises, any oh my God moments? Who would have thought it?
Not so far. I mean, most of the surprises we've had are good ones, like with young talent we've brought in and some late additions to the team as far as recruiting goes. We have some kids who came in pretty much after the fact. We thought we're all recruiting. These guys are surprises for sure. They're very talented. As far as any sort of other surprises, some unwanted ones, I haven't had one yet. I can't speak for Coach Casey, but for me it's, I would say smooth sailing, but pretty, you know what, I will say it, pretty smooth sailing so far.
You know what, that would make anybody who's an Okanagan Sun fan happy to hear that there are no surprises, that things are moving along well. Just a final note before we go, there's two notes that are sort of happening on other leagues. One is the NFL. The owners seem to have reached a tentative agreement that's going to end their lockout. I'm not a big NFL fan. I'm a hardcore CFL fan, and I'm hurting for Wally Buono. Down 3-0. There was so much promise and so much hope for the BC Lions going into the season. Grey Cup, of course, being in the new BC Place Stadium.
Yeah.
Do you spend any time watching CFL football, and are you hurting for Wally Buono?
You know what? I'm not hurting for Wally. I'm hurting for the players. I mean, Wally's been around a long time. You know, I don't pretend to know exactly what he deals with, but. You know, yeah, the Lions are down. I like to see him win, a local team as far as province goes. Even the NFL, like I'm a football fan. I'm not an NFL fan or a CFL fan. I'm just a football fan. Not except for arena football. I won't watch that because it's too tight. But you know what? Lions will pick it up. I'm sure that they'll be in the Grey Cup. We'll see what happens.
Listen, I really appreciate your time here this morning. Offensive coordinator for the Okanagan Sun, Tony Lindsay, and just checking the schedules here if you're making marks on your calendar. July the 31st, they open the season for 2011 away. They're going to be up against the Broncos, but first home game is August the 6th here against the